You can all join palms and repeat after me. I take refuge in the Buddha.
I take refuge in the Buddha.
I take refuge in the Dharma.
I take refuge in the Dharma.
I take refuge in the Sangha.
I take refuge in the Sangha.
Keeping the palms joined. Put palms down. So welcome everybody to Tuesday night meditation, live from the Dharma Bum Temple. Thanks for being here. I think when I think about Buddhist practice, there's a lot of things that come to mind, but one right now that popped into my head about 3 seconds ago is the teaching and practice of diligence and right effort. I talk a lot about the paramitas. Paramitas are translates to perfection, the 6 practices: generosity, morality, patience, diligence, concentration, wisdom. And to me, I've always, when I look at the Eightfold Path and the practice of right effort, diligence is in there. You have to have really morality and intention behind the action and the effort and be diligent with it. But so they, in many ways, to me, kind of combine. But what I really want to just touch on briefly is diligence, because we're at a time right now where often, and a lot of feedback I'm getting from people, is maybe people feel like they don't have much to do, or they're bored, or whatever it might be. And so I've always looked at diligence as, if you're going to do something, do it to the best of your ability. And that means to work hard at it and to continuously put in an effort. And it doesn't matter what it is that you're doing. And whatever you did today, for me as a practice, look at it and ask yourself, did you put the greatest effort into it? Zen Mind, Beginner Mind, a great book by Shunryu Suzuki, and it talks about to burn yourself completely. And it's not a literal practice in most cases, but to burn yourself completely, and diligence and effort, those all really come together, meaning whatever you've done, have you given it all you could? And for me, growing up a sports person, or anyone who's ever played sports, there's an expression of leave it all on the field. Meaning when you walk off that field, whether you won or lost, did you give it your greatest effort? And so I grew up with that. It's not like Buddhism came into my life and I'm like, okay, I'm going to have diligence. I grew up with that. What Buddhism has taught me is to kind of fine tune it with morality and intention. But when you go through your day, look back at your day today and ask yourself, did you put the greatest effort into it? Did you burn yourself completely to where you left yourself nothing but ash in that experience, whatever that experience was? If you watched TV for 2 hours, did you completely watch TV for 2 hours and just watch TV? Or did you watch TV and do like 7 other things? If you made food today, did you just make food? What was your effort in making that food? If you walked around the block today, what was your effort in walking around the block? So I just want to really constantly remind people that please stop thinking that because the Dharma Bum Temple is closed, especially for those of you who come here consistently, that means you're shut off from practice, or that you can't practice, or that you don't have your place to practice. You have your place to practice. You just don't like it. It's right there where you're sitting. And you had all day long to burn yourself completely and to work so hard and be diligent and be the best at whatever you were doing today. And then at the end of the day, when you lay down, people always ask me, a lot of times when I talk, and I reference it, but I really don't talk about it too much, which is kind of funny, other than little anecdotes or stories. But my time in the monastery, I've never in my life known a time where I laid down at the end of the night, which was like 9 o'clock, and just within like 2 minutes, I was asleep. Because you work so hard all day long. And then when you go to sleep, you're just done. And to me, that was such a perfect example of burning myself completely, of just doing all day long, focused the best I could on every single task I was doing. And then at the end of the night, I knew that I had done everything to the best of my ability. And it's a hard thing to really replicate, but that's the practice. So when you lay down to bed at night, do you know you have done your best that day? And last thing I'll say before we do meditation, not to judge it or critique it so much, not to think that if you didn't do your best, that means you're a bad person, but challenge yourself that your home or wherever you are, that is your Dharma Bum Temple right now. That is your place right now of practice. So, yeah, I think that's all. So we'll start with a meditation practice. A couple things to tell you before we begin. Nothing's going to happen to you, right? Especially if you're new for the first time. If you are joining for the first time, welcome. Nothing will happen to you. You're not going to float away. You won't have any mystical, magical experiences. Your mind won't shut off, meaning you're not going to think nothing. You won't go blank, right? You'll constantly think. And the practice of meditation is trying to come back to the present moment and not get lost in the thoughts. Don't judge your practice. Don't ask yourself, am I doing this right? Am I doing it wrong? Is this good? Is it bad? We're just going to sit. We're going to breathe. Don't expect anything, okay? Just try to sit and breathe and be with that experience. And even with the meditation, same thing. Can you burn yourself completely with this practice right now? Can you just focus on sitting? Posture, if you're in a chair, just trying to sit up straight, relaxing the shoulders, hands are on the knees or on the lap, ideally feet flat on the ground. If you're on a cushion, it helps slide to the front third, pushing the stomach forward, allows the back spine to straighten, also hands on the knees or on the lap. If you need to move, simply move. Doesn't mean you're a bad meditator, just means you have an itch. If you're on a couch, try to stay awake. And I hope it's a comfortable one. I'll guide us as we begin, and we'll settle into a little bit of silence. And starting with the eyes closed if comfortable, or slightly open. Mouth is open or closed. Start with taking 3 deep breaths, slowly. And eventually, settle into a natural rhythm of the breath. Knowing throughout the practice, you'll hear sounds. These are not distractions, not disruptions. Simply what's happening around you as you sit. Noticing the mind as it wanders, jumping from thought to thought. Start with gently guiding the attention, focus to the stomach or chest. Breathing in, feel them rise. Breathing out, they fall. Simply continue this practice, observing sensation of breath. And as the mind wanders, lost in thought, recognize it. Release that thought. Return attention, focus to the breath. Where is your mind? Return attention, focus to the breath. Breathing in. Follow breath in. Breathing out. Follow breath out. Keeping the mind alert. Aware of each sound. Each thought. Each physical sensation. Yet concerned with nothing but sitting, breathing. with the body still, resting. And the speech quiet, aware of all sounds. And the mind learning to settle. Know what it's like to just sit and breathe. Knowing with each breath, there's nothing else to do. Nowhere else to go. No one else to be. Everything beautiful, exactly as it is. Sitting, breathing. And once again, taking 3 deep breaths, slowly. And as you slowly open the eyes, slowly begin to move. And most important, with the practice of meditation, is to recognize how you feel now, immediately after. Compare this to how you typically feel throughout your day. Recognize the difference, if there is one. Ask yourselves how you prefer to feel every day for the rest of your life. And realize however you feel now, it's quiet, calm, still, or a busy mind, racing mind, whatever you're sitting with at this moment, has nothing to do with anything I said. It's nothing to do with how you sit and hold the hands across the legs. It's nothing to do with the sounds around you or anything else for that matter. It's everything to do with your own mind and your own mind's reaction to an external condition. This is what the Buddha called pratitya samutpata, means dependent origination. the basis of the Buddha's awakening. The word Buddha simply means awakened. He was a human being no different than any one of us who began to understand why he suffered, why he got angry, sad, depressed, stressed, anxious. He began to understand the causal relationship of all phenomena. What that means, very simply, for all of us, regardless of where you come from or what you believe in or where you think you're going, your whole life is filled with things that happen, and you react. More stuff happens, more reactions. That's what we get every day. The practice of meditation is learning what it's like to respond to something quietly, peacefully, still. Because for most of us, the way we responded to the last 20 minutes is quite different from how you respond to everything else that's happening throughout your days. And all we're working on is closing the gap where the way you feel now is closer to how you feel always. Just as driven, motivated, productive, successful, whatever that means to you in your respective lives, but with a mind that's steady, clear, focused, distracted by nothing, disturbed by no one. This is not an easy practice. It's not necessarily fun, but meditation is free. Buddhist practice is free. This is not an escape. And that's one of the challenges that we're all being faced with right now. Is for the last 13, 14 years, I've watched people escape to a Dharma Bum temple or wherever you go to escape. And this is what I mean when I always say this practice is not an escape. Your meditation doesn't fix things. Whatever chaos and troubles and craziness is in your life right now, that didn't go away just because you did a meditation. It's all still there. But this allows you to be with it in a way that's much more real, much more present. This is not the escape. This is checking in with exactly how things are and learning to be with it. And eventually recognizing and realizing there is no escape from anything. Escaping from anything is really the exact opposite of what I've learned from the Buddhist practice. Whatever situation you have in your life right now, throw yourself into it completely and practice with that. Do not think another book or another meditation is going to solve your problems. There are no problems to solve. There is just life as it is. There are no challenges, there are no difficulties. There's just things that are happening. We make them challenging, we make them difficult because of our inability to be with life as it is. That creates conflict. In true practice, there is no conflict. There's just meeting the life and situation you have completely. And becoming one with that experience. Meaning there is no separation between you and the experience. You are the experience is you. There is no difference. But most of us have an experience and then we label it, and we judge it, and we tell a story about it. Just be with it. Burn yourself completely into that experience. So I'll stop there and just open up to questions. If you are new, again, welcome. And I'd like to use the rest of the time to respond to questions on meditation, Buddhist practice, anything you may have. On the right side of your computer, or wherever, if you're on your phone, there's a little chat box. So you can type your questions in there. Travis will read them. I'll repeat them for my benefit, and I'll respond. So again, we'll open up now to questions on meditation, Buddhist practice, anything you're sitting with or want to share.
Nicole asked if you can talk about watering good seeds and how to do it.
Sure. It's funny, you learn a lot about, I think, practice and the way we ask questions. And so this idea of watering good seeds, again, without knowing anything about you or where you're at, my guess is that you read something that had to do with cultivating good karmic seeds, good intentions, good actions. Karma, for those who don't know, the word means action. It's not what goes around comes around. It's not getting what you deserve. It's not, well, that happened, that's their karma, so that's why that happened. I mean, it is their karma, but karma is not what you get, it's what you give. So, as I've referenced multiple times already at the beginning and through the meditation, body, speech, mind, what we think, what we say, and what we do, this is our karma as taught by the Buddha. And so all of our thoughts, all of our words, all of our actions is what we bring into the world. And when we water kind of positive seeds, when I hear that, what I think of is really cultivation. You think of seeds, you think of planting something, you're cultivating something. The word cultivation is often used in Buddhist practice to cultivate positive karma, positive intention, positive thoughts, positive actions. What I can say about watering good seeds or cultivating positive karma is it's really important. That's, I think, the first thing to understand is that what I learned a long time ago through this teachings very early on, my teacher said, all karmic seeds bear fruit. And what that means is everything you think, everything you say, and everything you do has an effect. Ultimately, what karma is the law of cause and effect. So Nicole asked a question. That is the cause. The effect, and this is a very simple example, but very basic. The effect is I'm giving a response. But that's not where it ends. My response now is the cause of what all of you are thinking right now. What all of you are thinking right now, which we would say is the effect of me speaking, what all of you are thinking right now is the effect, and now will become the cause of whatever you think or do or say next. And whatever you think or do or say next is the effect of that cause. And then that continues endlessly. So all karmic seeds bear fruit. And one of my favorite examples is, let's say I did a bunch of terrible things for probably 30 years of my life, which is true, right? So I like to think that I have this whole forest of karmic seeds that are not so great. And then you spend, 15 years or so, and you got a few little flower pots over here. And this is my good seeds, my good karma. Like, I don't like karma, good or bad, but just to use words we all can relate to. So here's my 3 little flower pots of good karmic stuff. I want to keep cultivating those. I want to keep thinking good thoughts and speaking good words and doing good deeds. Right? Someone should put that on a hat or a t-shirt. Wait, we did that. Do you want to stay there? Think good thoughts, speak good words, do good deeds. That's the greatest teaching. That's cultivating those seeds in a positive way. But now what's going to happen is, as I mentioned, all karmic seeds bear fruit. So if I've got 30 years and a forest over here of karma that's much different than over here, well, those trees are going to fall, right? And maybe they'll have an impact on me, maybe they'll have an impact on someone else. But all that stuff that's happened in the past, all that karma is still playing out. I have to continue to focus over here. So when one of those trees, for example, comes crashing down on my head, I don't do something in that moment that's going to create more over here in the forest of really not good karma. That's why it's so important to focus on the good seeds that you're, I think, asking about. Now, when bad things happen, as we tend to call them, that's the most important time to practice. When someone does or says something you don't like, our quick default is to do stuff that would create all the big forest of not so good karma. That's the moment you have to practice. It's really easy to sit there at home and, when we gather here at the temple and kind of be around a bunch of, happy, smiley people, at least for the hour that you're here, and pretend everything's great and have good karma while you're here. But when you go back outside, that crazy world's waiting for you. The more you practice cultivating these seeds over here, the easier it becomes to deal with all this madness. So hopefully that's helpful. And even if all these karmic seeds eventually becomes this forest over here of really wonderful karmic actions that I could do the rest of my life, it doesn't cancel out all this stuff. All the pain, all the hurt, all the misery I brought to people's lives. You cannot get rid of that. You should not forget it. You should not pretend it doesn't exist. You should be real with it and embrace it as part of your journey, as part of your experience. That doesn't excuse it. It doesn't make it right, but it's the journey that you're on. So do more of this over here. Other questions?
Jana asked, how does Buddhist practice help in relieving remorse and guilt?
How does it help in relieving remorse and guilt? Not at all. It's actually funny you asked that question. The question of how does Buddhist practice relieve remorse and guilt? I don't even know why I was thinking this. It must have been yesterday. But one of my favorite questions that has ever occurred here is someone came here one night. It's probably, it was here. So it was at some point within the last 3 years, but 2+ years ago. And she came in, she was in a bad mood, sat for meditation for 20 minutes. As soon as I hit the bell, the hand went immediately up. And the question was, she said, my wife is really angry at me. How can I learn to be, what do I do about that? What do I do about my wife being angry at me? And I said something to the effect of, well, did you do something to cause her to be angry? And she said, yes. And I said, then good. I'm glad your wife is angry at you. She should be angry at you. You did something that hurt her. And now all of a sudden, and I'm talking to all of you, but I'm really just retelling the story that happened. Now all of a sudden, the person who caused the pain wanted to feel better about the pain they had caused. Be with that pain for a while. Now, I'm not suggesting that your question is exactly like this. It's a different, potentially a completely different scenario. But that example, I think, is so relevant in our lives because we do things that instantly cause pain in others, and then we just want them to be okay. But we have to be with that for a while and recognize, what did we do that caused the pain? How can we do? What can we do to stop doing things that cause pain? Now, another way, which may be more relevant to your actual question, is that remorse and guilt, they don't do you any good. Buddhist practice doesn't take it away. Right? Most of us sitting here tonight, myself included, have the feelings of remorse or guilt for things that we have done. But you can't change the things you've done. So the feeling of remorse or the feeling of guilt just continues to destroy you. And when you continue to destroy yourself and feel, I can't say not worthy without a Wayne's World reference in my head, but when you, for anyone old like me, I'm talking about Wayne's World? No, not even Travis knows, right? But when you feel not worthy, you don't respond well. So when you have feelings of guilt and feelings of remorse, and you feel not worthy, you're just going to continue to perpetuate the same cycle of doing things that now 5 years from now, you're going to have remorse and guilt for what you did today because you don't feel worthy because of feelings of guilt and remorse from the past. And you get stuck in this vicious cycle. What Buddhist practice has taught me, and maybe this is really more of a direct response to you in this moment, is here you are today. Be proud of your journey. Be aware of your journey. My suggestion is not to live with feelings of remorse and guilt, but not pretend that you haven't done things that harmed people. But most important is to recognize you're human. You're going to do things that harm others, and you're going to do things that are beautiful and benefit others. Don't hate yourself. Learn to be present with life as it is, which is a life filled with all of us who have done some harm. So, yeah, hopefully that helps, or at least makes you think. One last thing, the reason I said initially that, how does Buddhist practice, or what is it, and I said not much or something to that effect, is that often we want, not necessarily you with the question, but often we want Buddhism to fix things. And I like to look at Buddhism as not a thing that fixes things, but something that allows us to be with the ultimate truth. And ultimate truth hurts sometimes. So, yeah.
There's some party-ons and excellence.
I was going to say there's probably, I saw your laugh and I was like, I guarantee there's a bunch of Wayne's World references because, how old are you now, 28 or something like that?
Yeah.
20, yeah. So try 28, but you'll Google Wayne's World tonight.
I know vaguely enough to recognize that they were references.
Yes. Party on, excellent. Wayne's World. Yeah. The guitar. Yeah. Any other questions relating to Buddhism or meditation? As you're all spinning over Wayne's World references.
So Lizzie asked, does the Buddha have any words or ways of dealing with and handling depression?
I mean, everything I've just said right? Everything. Depression is a word. It's a heavy word. It's a word that just about every person on this, joining us tonight, and every person who walks in the Dharma Bum Temple, and every person who walks into Starbucks deals with, right? I mean, for me, I grew up most of my life, for 25 years, dealing with levels of depression. Some at times way more severe than others. But depression sucks. I grew up angry, depressed, and pissed off for no reason other than this crazy head. I came from a, no family's perfect, but, relatively perfect family, perfect upbringing. I mean, I had no reason. My parents have been married 52 years. I had everything. I was a spoiled, privileged kid. But I was so angry and so depressed because in my mind, I had all these stories about how I thought the world should be. And what I learned through Buddhist practice, it was actually, what I've learned through Buddhist practice is learn to be with life as it is without labeling it as something. And yes, if you're clinically depressed and you're on medication and you see psychiatrists and you see psychologists, continue to do that. That's my background. I've studied all that. I get it. So I don't want to downplay or discount that depression is a real thing. It is. But on the Buddhist lens of it, it's also a word that we're putting around emotions. And it chemically imbalanced, I get all that. So I'm very serious about that stuff. But again, the flip side is all these emotions, depression, happiness, joy, sadness, anger, excitement. These are all words that we put around our emotions. Depression comes from being wrapped up in many things. One is angry about the past and everything that happened that you're not okay with. Another thing wrapped around depression is your life just not being how you want it to be. And because your life is not how you want it to be, you get depressed. And when you're depressed and your life isn't how you want it to be, you sit around thinking all day about what? How your life sucks. And if you sit around thinking all day about how your life sucks, how do you think that's going to make you feel? Depressed. And then you're depressed. And then you go to bed depressed, and then you wake up and you're depressed and you think about how your life sucks. Find gratitude. My guess is you have a roof over your head, even if it's a car. My guess is you have clothes to wear, food to eat, people that care about you, family, friends, loved ones, even if it's just one. When you cultivate gratitude and appreciation for everything you have, it doesn't allow your mind to go to negative places. It doesn't allow your mind to experience depression because you're so focused on doing good things and thinking good thoughts and speaking good words. Go help people. Get out of yourself. The Buddha said there is no self. You think you are depressed. Who is it that's depressed? You are just a story that you've been making up year after year after year of how you think you're supposed to be and how you think your life is supposed to be. And because your life has not worked out how you want it to be, you think everything sucks and you're depressed. I was there for a long time. And my master said, Jeff, go help people. So that's what I did. Burn yourself completely into helping people in any way you can. And when you help people, you've helped people, we've all helped people, we feel good. Anytime you find yourself depressed thinking about all the crap that's going on in all your past and all the misery and blah, 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 snap and go do something good for somebody. And I get it, you're locked inside. Send someone a nice text that says, I care about you. Immediately go help people. For me, when I started 2003 at the temple, I showed up every single day. And my master gave me something to do every single day to go help people. And for me, 17 years later, that is all I focus on. One could say, does anything ever get cured or fixed? Who knows? And ultimately, who cares? Because of all you're doing, I mean, if I sat around thinking about all the stuff that you're all thinking about all day long, I'd probably be miserable and depressed too. But I don't. That's not what I learned. Someone sent me a message this morning, someone I've known for years, and this person happens to like the news. I'll wrap up with this thought. Hopefully, Lizzie, that was helpful. Depression sucks. I get it. Keep working on it. But someone sent me a message this morning, and this is a person that I know them very well for a long time, and they like the news. And some of you also may like the news, and some of you may spend a lot of hours watching the news. And my suggestion was stop watching so much news. And then I followed up in my very kind of joking way, and even though it was typed, they know me well enough to understand. Here's your news report for today. And I said something to the effect of, coronavirus still here. Bad. Wash your hands. And that was it. And I take this stuff very seriously. I look at the news every morning and every night for about 5 minutes. And that's it. And that gives me enough knowledge of what's going on in my present situation. I'm not someone, I don't need to know more than that. If I was someone in a medical profession or, who knows what circumstance that I needed to know more, I would know more. But at this stage and this level of me, just some Jeff, just some dude doing his thing, that's about all I need to know. It's still there. It's really dangerous. You need to be really careful. I don't need to read things 7 hours a day on everyone else's opinions on it. That, to me, is enough of a report. And I know that so many people right now are miserable over all this stuff, and I get it. It sucks. This pandemic is no joke. It is here, it is real, and it ain't going away anytime soon. That's the truth. Learn to be with the truth, and learn to be okay with that. That's what this practice has taught me. So, with that, we'll close. We'll join palms. May the benefit of this practice be shared with all beings in all directions. May all beings be at peace. May all be free from suffering. May any merit gained from this practice be transferred to those who need it most. So a few announcements just before you all head off. Thanks for being here. My name is Jeff. I'm a Dharma bum. We opened this temple 14 years ago to introduce Buddhist practice and meditation to people. Those of us who lead, we're not monks, we're not nuns, we're not gurus, we're not masters, we're not teachers, we're not looking for students. We're just practitioners. We do our best to take our understanding of Buddhist teachings and put it into terms that hopefully make sense to those who join us. Just about every night we have different classes going on, different Buddhist traditions. Almost all of our schedule is online now. So go to the website, thedharmabums.org, click on the schedule. You'll see the Google Calendar that pops up there on the website. Open up the event, and there's how you can join us. Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night. I do Tuesdays. Alex does Wednesdays with a metta, loving kindness. Travis does Thursday with Dharma Bum Basics and meditation. That's on YouTube. All of our recovery sangha, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday nights, and Sunday mornings and Saturday mornings is all on Zoom. Our college group is meeting, our teenage group is meeting, our family group is meeting. We have so much going on online, and so please take advantage of that. It's just as free as it always is, whether it's online or in person. We're not offering special discounts online. Our stuff is always free. So please take advantage of it. Every morning, Monday through Friday, 8 and 8:30. We have that going on. And that's also on Zoom. The first Saturday in May, we are bringing back our Day of Silence retreat. So Saturday morning, we've always had the first Saturday of the month. We do 4 hours of silence. It's from 8 to noon. It's a 25-minute meditation that has a 5-minute break, and then that repeats from 8 till noon. There's a cleaning period, there's a walking meditation period, and that will exist as is. So you will have a cleaning period and a walking period at your house. So come prepared. There'll be more info on that, but that's, again, the first Saturday of the month from 8 to noon. If I never see you again, think good thoughts, speak good words, do good deeds. And thanks again for being here. Be safe.